Trump vindicated. Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, the Durham report, the long-awaited Durham report was finally released, and it's everything that we knew is there, but it's now been finally officially confirmed and officially corroborated. According now to the final report, the executive summary, John Durham, the special counsel, after 3 years, millions of dollars, now has proven conclusively, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that Trump never colluded with Russia. He never colluded with Putin. He never colluded with any Russian. And furthermore, not only was the Russia collusion hoax a complete lie, as Durham lays out in painstaking, meticulous detail, it was completely fabricated. It was made up. It was concocted. And it was made up and concocted, fabricated by the Hillary Clinton campaign. This was a frame-up of President Trump, or then candidate Trump, by Hillary and by the Democratic National Committee. And in fact, Durham, in some very powerful paragraphs and sections of the report, says that this was done deliberately in order to distract from Hillary's real problems regarding her unsecure, unprotected private email server in which she compromised national security. And so they had to come up with something to deflect and distract from the huge scandal surrounding her email server. And so they came up within the Hillary Clinton campaign, and as Durham lays out in his report, they came up with a plan to directly and falsely link Trump to Putin, link Trump to Russia. It was all made up. It was 1,000% false. It was garbage, absolute garbage. And what's even worse, as the Durham report now lays out, is that the FBI knew from the beginning that it was all a pack of lies. As Durham lays out, on August 3rd, 2016, this is like a Jean Le Carré or Tom Clancy novel. As Durham lays out, on August 3rd, 2016, the CIA became aware of Hillary's plan, her strategy to dirty Trump, to lie about Trump, pinning him, trying to frame him as an agent of Russia and Vladimir Putin. And so then CIA Director John Brennan, that scumbag, briefed the Oval Office in the Situation Room. And he directly told in a meeting then President Barack Obama, then Vice President Joe Biden, then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and then FBI Director James Comey, that Hillary was going to use this against Trump, that it was all uncorroborated, that there was no evidence whatsoever, that this was a smear campaign. They knew that the origins of the Russia-Trump collusion allegations did not come from any kind of real intelligence, did not come from any basis of truth, that this was all manufactured by Hillary and by the Democrats. And amazingly, Obama and Biden said nothing, did nothing. In fact, they acted and pretended like it was true. Comey acted and pretended like it was true. And more than that, and I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, political scandal, the greatest example of corruption in the history of the United States. Because then CIA Director John Brennan, as Durham lays out in the report, Brennan then sends a written memorandum. Forget verbally telling them. In writing, he sends them a highly classified written memorandum to FBI Director Comey, and then one of his assistant directors, Peter Strzok, him and the Lovebirds, Lisa Page, and they both are told this is a political operation, a disinformation campaign from Hillary Clinton and the DNC. There is no evidence to this whatsoever. It's pure 100% bull you-know-what. It's bull crap. So the FBI knew. They knew from the very beginning that it was a lie. Now, as Durham lays out, they still, in what was called Operation Crossfire Hurricane, even knowing that this was a pack of lies, even knowing that this had come from the Hillary Clinton campaign, the FBI still launched an investigation into Trump and kept deliberately leaking it to the media in order to create the appearance that there was something to these allegations. And then, to their shock and horror, it didn't work. It didn't work. So the FBI then continued to investigate and probe, spy on Trump, on his inner circle, and on senior members of his campaign and then his administration. And in particular, they went to the FISA court and they lied. They lied, saying they believed that Trump was compromised, that people around him were compromised, that they were secretly working with the Russian security services, when they knew it was all a lie, that it was 100% false. And they did it to secretly spy on Trump in order to paralyze, cripple, and obstruct his investigation, forcing through leaks the Mueller investigation. It was an attempted coup. A coup to hopefully overthrow the president by having Mueller come out and trigger impeachment hearings and force Trump to resign. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. What we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that this was a deep state operation from the very beginning. We were lied to. The CIA is institutionally corrupt. The FBI is institutionally corrupt. Obama and Biden were there at the ground level. They green-lighted the entire surveillance spying operation and our government and our media. And they were fed a pack of lies, and many of them knew it was a pack of lies. And yet they still parroted the lies from the FBI and the CIA and the Hillary Clinton team. Comey needs to go to jail. Obama needs to go to jail. Biden needs to go to jail. I'm sorry, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, that little weasel, that snake, he also was part of the effort to frame Trump. He knew, as Durham laid out, it was all one big lie. There was no connection between Trump, no connection between his campaign and Russia. Why is Strzok not in jail? Why is McCabe making millions of dollars spouting his lies on CNN? Why is he not in jail? You know, as Grace told me this morning, what is so frustrating about the Durham report, Look, it is thorough. It is very thorough. It is meticulous. It is detailed. It is comprehensive. Believe me, it's 306 pages. It has the goods. But it doesn't make any recommendations for people to go to prison. So what's the point of catching all of this criminal activity and not putting these criminals behind bars? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, finally, the Durham report is out, and it is absolutely devastating. As I led with during the opening monologue, Trump is now completely and utterly vindicated. I'm going to get to him a little bit later because he's come out with an official statement, and he rips the FBI. He rips Hillary. He rips the media. But man, the FBI, I don't know, frankly, if they can ever recover from this. Listen now to Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri responding to the Durham report. To me, he hits the nail right on the head. Roll cut one, Mike.
There needs to be a lot more than reports, Jesse. People need to be prosecuted for this. The Clinton campaign and Hillary Clinton herself, is it any coincidence that she is tweeting about collusion at exactly the same time her campaign operatives are feeding this BS to the FBI? I don't think so. There needs to be consequences for her and also for the FBI. FBI leadership has clearly got to be changed. And Jesse, I'm of the mind we need to end the FBI as we know it. It needs to be broken up. I mean, clearly it has become corrupt. The leadership is corrupt. You can talk to FBI agents in the field. I was just doing this this past week. Great folks in my home state all over the place, but they're not served by this leadership. This leadership has become totally, radically politicized, and we've got to change it.
Oh, amen. Amen. And look, I have to say this. I have to say this. You know, how many years I heard Sean Hannity? No, really, and all his people on his show, and the rank and file of the FBI is just a few rogue agents, but the overwhelming majority of the FBI, these guys, these men and women, they're the salt of the earth, the bulwark of democracy. You're such a liar. Seriously. You're such a brown-noser. No. As the report reveals, it wasn't just one bad apple here or two bad apples there. It is from top to bottom. It has now become so politicized. It is an arm of the Democratic Party. In 2016, it became an arm of the Hillary Clinton campaign. This is systemic rot and corruption from the top to the bottom, from the head to the toe. And I'm with Josh Hawley on this. Hillary Clinton, what does this woman have to do to go to jail? Hillary needs to go to jail. Comey, that liar, needs to go to jail. Strzok, McCabe, all of them now, they need to be held accountable for what they did. This is crime upon crime upon crime upon crime. And what is amazing to me about the Durham report, yes, it's very specific, very detailed, extremely thorough. As I told Sandy, I didn't just read the executive summary. I read large chunks of the report last night. I'm going to try to finish it, obviously, later today after the show. I couldn't go through all 306 pages, but I read good, large parts of it. I mean, ask me anything you want, really. I mean, it's detail after detail. We have corroboration and documentation in this report, conclusive, that Trump was framed. He was set up. That he had nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with Putin, that this was completely made up and manufactured. They concocted this. In the Hillary Clinton campaign, they fed this to the FBI. The FBI knew it was all a pack of lies. They knew it was completely false. As Durham puts it, quote, uncorroborated. Unanalyzed, uncorroborated. And yet they were so desperate to get Trump and frame him that they went with it anyway. Now, after this, you can never trust the FBI or the CIA or the Department of Justice ever again. Ever. And the FBI now needs to be broken up into 1,000 pieces. And it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. And most of them need to be fired. Many of them need to be behind bars. My big disappointment in the Durham report, it's not in its depth or its thoroughness or its meticulous detail, but there are no recommendations. There are no recommendations. He blinked. He flinches. He should have come out. He needed to come out and say, these are all of the crimes that we exposed. This is now what we've completely uncovered. And this begins now with Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, then vice president, along with Obama. They were in on a conspiracy that we thoroughly document and prove. And this was to frame an innocent man as being a traitor, as being an ally or an agent of Vladimir Putin. And they allowed this big lie to fester for years. And the media used it for years. And look at the damage it did to our country. Look at the damage it did to Trump's presidency. Look at the damage it did, frankly, to our democracy. It doesn't matter now that the Durham report is out. The overwhelming majority of Democrats, including the fanatics, the hardcore hacks, the Bills in Sudbury and the Bens in North Andover, they're going to continue to insist, because of the constant brainwashing, repetition, and propaganda from the media and from the FBI, that Trump was an agent of Vladimir Putin. And now we know the whole thing was one big lie. 617-266-6868 is the number. So I want to ask you, double-barreled question. What do you make now of the Durham report? Trump utterly, completely vindicated. The Russia collusion never happened. It was a hoax, a massive, giant lie. And number two, should Obama, Biden, Comey, the whole corrupt gang, Strzok, McCabe, should they go to jail? And will they? 617-266-6868 is the number. Do you feel misled and lied to by our government, our FBI, our CIA, and of course the entire media? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Kevin, hey, my fellow paisan in Rentham. Kevin, thanks for holding and welcome.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Now, is this the same Kevin who I met on Sunday?
This is.
Kevin, it's great to hear from you. And I want to thank you again for being so kind to me, my children, my wife, and all the fishing tips you gave us, because believe me, we're going to use it this weekend when I take Ashton fishing.
Awesome. Great to hear. Oh, Jeff, I was just thinking about this while I was on hold. It's been 7 years. Are you kidding me? 7 years we've had to wait to find the truth. All the names I know I've been called, I'm sure you've been called, and this is a form of our government that we're supposed to be able to trust. And, I have a boss who's like, oh, if you were alive in 1972, you would have voted for Nixon. Look at that criminal. We're all lumped together, and they're not even going to ever offer an apology. Is Donald Trump ever going to get that phone call from Hillary saying, hey, I'm really sorry? No, he's not. And God bless that man for what he has done for this country. And, a private citizen who didn't need to do what he's done, to take the slings and arrows for us, knowing that your own country did this for you. just because you wanted to run. And it's just, he overturned the apple cart. And the exposure that we have seen with this government is it's heartbreaking. And I know I'll never get an apology. I don't know about yourself, but I'm still waiting for that. I might as well hold my breath. But it's
Kevin,
it's disheartening.
you're dead on. Kevin, you're not 100%, as I like to say. You're 1,000% correct. Kevin, now with the release of the Durham report, do you think, that boss, for example, who said, oh, you would have voted for that criminal Nixon in 1972, do you think he'll change his mind? Do you think he's going to say, geez, I was wrong. We were all lied to. Our government lied to us. The FBI, the CIA lied to us. Our Department of Justice lied to us. The media, the entire corrupt so-called mainstream media, the corporate media, all of them lied to me. And you know what, Kevin? You were right. I was wrong. You think he's going to say that now?
Hear it, but the little Latin I do know, mea culpa goes a long way, and yeah, like I said, I'll hold my breath. I might as well be a fish out of water.
Speaking of fishing,
yeah.
Kevin, you're dead on. You're absolutely dead on, and thank you once again, really, for the call, and especially for your kindness towards me and my family. Thank you so much, Kevin. 617-266-6868. Look, just on a personal note, and I was talking about this with Grace over dinner, the vilification that I received. I was an agent of Vladimir Putin myself. I was defending Russia. I was a traitor. I was a fifth columnist. I was defending a Putin lover. I'm a Putin lover. That I was taking money from the Kremlin, because how else can you support someone like Donald Trump? I was called every single name in the book. I was vilified. And again, what I was told was, but it's CNN. It's the New York Times. It's the Boston Globe. Oh, my God. They don't lie about stuff like that. It's the CIA. It's the FBI. I mean, and I'm like, have you no idea of the history of the FBI? Are you that ignorant? You have no history of the CIA? Are you that ignorant? Have you no history about the New York Times? They literally lied about Stalin's genocidal famine in Ukraine. They covered up many of the crimes of Hitler to protect FDR for much of the Second World War. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But I mean, don't you know anything that happened in the past? You're just going to take everything they say as gospel mindlessly when none of it makes sense? But it didn't matter. I was the crazy one. I was the traitor. I was the one who was in bed with the Kremlin, secretly, I don't know, taking their money. I'm like, well, where's the money? I'd love to see some of the money. I don't see any money. So my motives were impugned. My patriotism was impugned. I was repeatedly libeled, slandered, demonized. And now it turns out everything they said was completely and utterly false. False. So honestly, do I feel vindicated? Yes. But to me, the man that's really vindicated is now Donald Trump. And if I were him, now is the time to go on the political warpath. You take this Durham report and you use it as a battle axe, a political battle axe, and you go after and destroy all of your enemies. And the fear that the FBI now has and the CIA is that if Trump comes back to power, they're in big trouble. Trump is going to use this and say, no, I'm cleaning house. You, fired. And Comey, get ready to put on an orange jumpsuit because you're going to go behind bars. 617 266-6868 is the number. Mike, how much time left? Okay, I don't want to rush the calls. I want to take all of your calls, get the reaction from all of you in Kuhner country. Let me ask you, just to set the table. Finally now, it's been 7 years. Durham's investigation, 3 years. Millions and millions of taxpayer dollars. We now have the final 306-page report, and it deals a death blow, a body blow, a fatal blow to the myth, the narrative that Trump colluded with Putin and Russia. It's over. It's over. And what Durham now exposes is that we were subjected to the biggest lie in the history of the United States. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quickly, listen now. Jonathan Turley on Fox News, professor at George Washington University, legal analyst, legal commentator, saying the Steele dossier reports were all lies and fabrications paid for and at the instigation of Hillary Clinton and the FBI. Roll cut 8. Mike.
It's damning because this is a report that suggests that we were all played as chumps, that there wasn't a basis to go forward with this investigation. These salacious details that the media repeated on every platform, it turned out didn't occur, including the hotel scene with the prostitutes. They go into great detail, and that's what's interesting about this. It is classic Durham. It's everything the Russian investigation was not. It's methodical. There's no hyperbole. He just goes through the facts and shows how false accounts were created, often in coordination with the Clinton campaign.
I mean, it's right there. It's all there in black and white. So whenever some moonbat says Trump is in bed with Putin or Trump colluded with Russia, there's the report. And it refutes everything, every single lie the liberals have now told for 7 years. 617-266-6868. Ronnie in Holliston. Thanks for holding, Ronnie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. You can hear me good?
I can hear you, Ronnie. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, so in response, would I like to see those involved go to jail or worse? Absolutely. At a very minimum, I would like to see some wide-scale resignations from the top down, from the big guy down. There was one other thing real quick, too, is if you drive around, you're going to see these billboards, and they say everything is okay. And I don't know if they're I really don't know who's behind those billboards, but I feel like even those billboards, I feel are like complete propaganda. You know? It's... I don't know.
No, it is. No, you're completely right. Don't. I always say, trust your instincts. I say this to everybody all the time. We all have a sixth sense, a self-preservation instinct given to us by God. So when you're saying to yourself, this feels like propaganda, it is. Don't talk your instincts, don't talk yourself out of your instincts. It's propaganda. Everything is not okay. Hell, nothing is okay under this regime. So, Ronnie, you're completely right, and thank you very much for that call. Look, super quick, because I want to stay focused on Durham. But you need to understand two things. This is the same FBI and the same CIA that we now know definitively lied about the Hunter Biden laptop. And it's the same FBI that they had the Hunter Biden laptop for nearly a year before the New York Post broke the bombshell story that all of Joe Biden's crimes, all of his corruption, pay to play, his treason, his influence peddling operation, it was all there on the laptop. The FBI had it for nearly a year, and they did nothing. Now, think about that for a second. So, they knew that Hillary Clinton planted a false story that Trump was colluding with the Russians, and they've used that to launch an investigation into Trump and to frame him as a Russian agent. On the other hand, they have a laptop, a real laptop, exposing and detailing all of Biden's crimes, and they bury it. They bury it. That tells you everything you need to know, man. The FBI is the political arm, the intelligence arm of the Democratic Party. Look, they are to America what the Stasi was to the communist regime in East Germany, what the Gestapo was to the Nazis, what the KGB was to the Soviet Union. The same thing. Now, one other quick point. There was a big development yesterday, and they used the Durham report, the big news of the Durham report, to get the information out because it would go under the radar. The IRS, as you know, has a whistleblower that now is proving that the Department of Justice is trying to protect Hunter Biden from all of the tax evasion and tax fraud that he and his family have committed over many years. Right to our face, the IRS came out yesterday under the Biden administration saying the entire investigative team has now been gutted. The entire team investigating Hunter Biden, they've been removed. You're not going to investigate him anymore. We're not going to continue investigating Hunter in retaliation for what the whistleblower has exposed and to Comer and Jordan investigating the IRS. So the IRS is now saying, right to our face, blank you. Is Hunter guilty? Yup. Is the Biden crime family guilty? Yup. Have they committed tax fraud, tax evasion? Yup. So what are you going to do about it? We're removing the investigators. Why would you do that? You want to blow the whistle on us? You want to investigate us? Right to your face. Now we're removing the investigators. What are you going to do about it? It is institutional corruption, thuggery on a third world level. That's what is now being exposed and revealed right in front of our eyes. 617-266-6868. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
Thank you for taking the call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
America said they would never forget September 11th. We forgot. Durham, by not recommending any legal action against these people involved, is further proof of corruption that is throughout these government agencies, and it will continue. We talk about January 6th, 3.5 years of prosecution. One man just got 14 years for pepper spraying and hitting a Capitol police officer with a chair. 14 years. You don't get that in Massachusetts for involuntary manslaughter. Yet, this true insurrection, coordinated by agencies within our own government, and continuing today with district attorneys such as Bragg of New York and others, shows the blatant, widespread corruption throughout this country. And unless we clean up the FBI, these local district attorneys, these corrupt judges, like the judges that are trying to prosecute Trump right now, then where is the democracy in America? I don't care if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. What kind of country do you want to live in? And you have former Governor Christie just last week calling former President Trump, put it again, that bag of hot air. I mean, like you say, they go to CNN, they go to these networks. You're not going to hear anything from these people because, as former President Trump stated, the media is the biggest enemy of the people. You know, on those lines, now they're flooding the border And I think this is very relevant because a lot of people don't know this. You mentioned on your show yesterday the traffic at Logan International Airport. This was told to me yesterday by an individual who works at Logan International Airport on the runway. 2 nights ago, in the dead of night, 4 unmarked planes landed at Logan, and what he believes illegals got off that plane, didn't go to the terminal. They boarded buses, and they left that airport without going through the TSA or any other agency. As you know, the TSA was formed after September 11th. They are an agency that were formed under this Freedom of Act, and they need to be dissolved as well. Miley needs to be court-martialed. These chiefs of staff and these people who are running our military need to be removed. And as Memorial Day comes up, I want to send a message out to every veteran out there, serving particularly. Know and remember the oath you took. You took an oath to protect the United States of America, not tens of thousands and millions of illegals coming over the border, creating crimes, murdering, pillaging, raping our citizens. The time will come when you will be called upon to decide whether you will stand up for the constitutional rights of Americans or the corrupt government that now has been exposed. That will be the choice you will have to make. And
CJ,
for me, I know what
CJ, I definitely know what choice you're going to make. Look, you're a Patriots patriot, CJ. There's no question about it. CJ, I want to ask you, because there's so many layers to this. I'm going to play a cut, and I want to get your reaction. How many years did Adam Schiff, who was then the chair of the Intelligence Committee, go in front of the cameras on CNN, MSNBC, the nightly news, you name it, and say, he saw the evidence. He saw it behind the scenes. He can't disclose it. For, it's classified. It's all classified. But there's the evidence. He's seen it. That Trump is in bed with Putin. This is a montage of Adam Schiff in 2018, 2019. I want to play it and then get your reaction. Roll cut 18, Mike.
There's direct evidence in the emails from the Russians through their intermediary.
There is significant evidence, much of it in the public domain, on the issue of collusion.
He lied. I mean, he didn't just lie. Everything what he just said, completely made up and manufactured, like Fantasyland stuff. CJ, I know he's been kicked off the Intelligence Committee by McCarthy. I get it. But doesn't Adam Schiff owe you, me, the American public one massive apology? And how does a guy like him sit in Congress after telling monstrous lie after monstrous lie after monstrous lie? The man is a pathological liar.
I can tell you that's their MO. And they will continue to do that until the Republican committees get on these people and demand immediately that these people be put under investigation. You know, you have to remember that Adam Schiff was taken off the Intelligence Committee for possibly the reason being is that here's a guy that didn't know the difference between an insurrection and a...
I agree. No, CJ, I agree. CJ, thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it as always, CJ. 617-266-6868 is the number. To me, this is what is stunning, is how brazenly they lied. Remember, they all knew. The report now exposes everything. It came from Hillary Clinton's camp. It was made up by the DNC. The FBI knew it was made up by Hillary and the DNC. The CIA knew. And Brennan, then the CIA director, he has a meeting and he tells Obama and he tells Biden, and he tells FBI Director Comey, this is all BS. They're going to try to frame him as an agent of Russia, and they're like, okay, sounds like a great plan to me. Now, as the Durham report points out, whatever you're doing, you need to listen to this. So they hire Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele, everything he says in his reports are lies. The Steele dossier is a lie from top to bottom, A to Z. He relies on some Russian called Igor Danchenko, who's working for $35,000 a year at the Brookings Institution. So this is no insider within Russia. He's in Washington, D.C., and he's a rabid never-Trumper, an anti-Trumper. He's in the tank for Hillary. Even after the FBI knows, and in fact, Durham produces the emails where they say Steele is lying. His dossier is full of lies and false statements and allegations. So they admit it. They go, no, this is garbage. This is all garbage. The peeing in the hotel room, the so-called peeing on prostitutes, and all of it is just all garbage. It's all literally, it's just made up. They're so desperate to get Trump. The FBI approaches Steele. He doesn't approach them. They approach him. And they tell Steele, if you can get the goods on Trump, I don't care who you talk to, I don't care how you get it. They offered him $1 million. The FBI, in essence, put an intelligence bounty on the head of the President of the United States. It's right there in the Durham report. If you want, I can cite it to you chapter and verse. $1 million they offered Christopher Steele after they knew he was lying. Just get Trump no matter what the cost. And we'll pay you $1 million. Now, who's running this country? They seem to think they're running this country. What the Durham report, he doesn't say this, but what it clearly exposes, what it shows as you read this, is no, they think this is the shadow government. They think they're running this country. The media, the bureaucracy, the deep state, the FBI, the CIA, in collusion with the Democrats think, hey, you think you run this country? You don't run this country. Now, this is all there in black and white. Meticulous, detailed, comprehensive. It's all there, corroborated and documented. Now, mark my words. What the media is going to do today, they started yesterday. They cannot deal with the substance of the report because it is devastating, irrefutable, and damning. So they're going to attack Durham. Oh, he's a Trump hack. Oh, he failed in his prosecution. Oh, there's no there. This is all, it's just to help Trump. Notice, it's all ad hominem, so nobody has to deal with what's now been exposed in the report itself. Okay, the Durham report is now out. It is a bombshell, not in terms of new information, but in terms of corroborating and proving what we have been saying now for 7 years. Trump has been utterly vindicated. Now, let me ask you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Will the Durham report make any difference? I think that's the question now that everybody wants answered. Yes, for all of history, it will be revealed once and for all. Trump never colluded with the Russians. He never colluded with Vladimir Putin. That Russia collusion was a lie and a hoax. That now is definitive. However, will people be held accountable? Will people go to jail? Will it even lead to massive, serious reforms at the FBI or the CIA or the DOJ? In other words, will it make any kind of difference in the real world? That's the question. Yes or no? I want to hear from you. Will there be consequences now, a fallout from the release of the Durham report? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuh, N as in Nancy, ER. As always, you can vote via Twitter as well. Our handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, at the Kuhner Report. Pat in Maine. Thanks for holding, Pat, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Pat.
I just wanted to make a quick comment about two of the reports that I've seen, from the mainstream media, the AP and CNN, that they're reporting that, Durham's reports in and that there's some stuff in it and that the FBI is cleaning it up. But they always have a but. And the but is there's no new revelations. And that's really what I think the low information voter is going to hear. There's no new revelations, but they don't even know what the revelations are. And the narrative that the media is starting to create is that there's nothing in the report, when indeed there is, as you know, quite a bit in the report. So I think that the media, the mainstream media, is pushing this false narrative, if you will, that there's nothing in the report. And I just wanted to make that comment to, it's just frustrating to see this stuff go on
but Pat,
over and over again.
I mean, look, I didn't expect anything less, because we're not dealing with honest reporters or genuinely independent journalists. These are hacks. These are paid liars and propagandists. So once you understand that, they're Democratic Party operatives. They're just putting on a title or a moniker of journalist. That's all they are. So they lied. They lied every day. CNN, for example, every minute of every hour of every day throughout Trump's presidency went on about Trump-Russia collusion, Trump-Russia collusion. So their credibility has been destroyed by this report completely. I mean, look, think about it. Just let's take the media out of this. Pat, if I was alleging a conspiracy, every show, every minute, every hour of every show, year after year after year after year, and then there's this huge, comprehensive, thorough report that comes out that disproves everything that I've been saying, would you ever listen to me again? You'd say, this guy's a charlatan. Boy, did I waste my life listening to him. Right? Am I wrong, Pat?
Well, you're not wrong. The only other thing I want to say is please keep up the good work, because you're the voice of reason around here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pat. I really appreciate it. God bless you. So, of course, they're going to say there's no new revelations. There's nothing there. Durham didn't deliver, blah, 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 because they get CYA. It's cover your, it's cover your rear end. So they have to protect themselves because they were in on it. They were in on the greatest political scandal and the greatest political lie in the history of the United States. They helped propagate and disseminate and spread it. So what are they going to do now? Blow up their entire, what's left of their credibility? And turn around and say, geez, Durham's right. There was no Russia collusion. Oops, we lied to you all these years. They're finished. So, NPR, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, all of the big networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, the nightly news, they all have, forget egg on their face. They've got garbage all over their face. They have been completely and utterly exposed. So now it's lie, 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 cover up, cover up, cover up. downplay. Mark my words. They're going to latch on to another story within 24 hours to try to bury this and move on. And I want you to think, just stand back objectively. This is how they lie to us. The media. Here's a montage of the mainstream media talking about the Steele dossier and Russia collusion. How much time left, Mike? Roll 18B.
Based on our own reporting and word from numerous official sources, the dossier, in fact, is far from bogus.
No major thing from the dossier has been conclusively disproven.
The intelligence community has corroborated, whoever paid for it, has corroborated a lot of the information that was in there to begin with.
Correct. There are actually substantial portions of what was in the Steele dossier, which was a raw intelligence document, that have indeed checked out.
You know, I think we're going to actually have to stop calling it the infamous dossier. Increasingly, it's the accurate dossier. Increasingly, it's the damning dossier.
Not one word has been disproven. In fact, a lot of it turned out to be right on the money.
The dossier, right, which looked sort of out there at first, is getting truer and truer and truer as facts come out.
It hasn't been discredited. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been corroborated.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay.
Your intel community. Your intel community has corroborated all of the details in there. The meetings,
the details,
face
not all the details.
Hold on, Congressman. Let's go over it.
That was Jim Jordan, by the way, at the end saying, really. That's the entire media. And now they've been exposed as liars. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text us 70470. Really, the texts are flying in right now, and some of them are absolutely brilliant. This is from 781. Jeff, will the New York Times and the Washington Post return their bogus Pulitzer Prizes for reporting the fake collusion story? Question mark. Or will Rachel Maddow return her Emmy Award for her commentary and reporting on the same lie? Question mark. No, of course not. 617, Jeff, going back 7 years ago on your show, we've made the point time and time again that all roads to this coup against Trump lead back to Obama and Biden. And that's why nothing will ever be done. Bingo. Bingo. And this is what Durham shows now beyond a shadow of a doubt. That Obama and Biden, August 3rd, 2016, that's the key meeting, were told Hillary Clinton put together with the DNC a false narrative, a lie, a story that they knew was a lie, linking Trump to Russia and Putin. And the CIA said it's completely false. Brennan told Obama and Biden and Comey at that meeting in the White House, this is all false. But politically, it's being put forth by the Hillary Clinton team and by the DNC in order to distract from her massive scandal with the private email server, and they believe politically it will destroy him because we're going to throw our weight and our support behind Hillary and this lie. And we're going to frame Trump as an agent of Russia. And we're going to feed this to our allies in the media, who are going to mindlessly parrot and repeat these lies, falsities, and propaganda. So by the time we're done, people are going to think Trump, traitor, Trump, Putin, Trump, collusion. And Obama gave it the green light, Biden gave it the green light, and that snake, Comey, gave it the green light. Now, you tell me, how is this not the dirtiest, most corrupt political scandal in the history of the United States? This is treason. This was treason against our republic, against the American people. That's why the media doesn't want you to focus on the details of the Durham report, and they're going on about there's no new revelations. There's no new. What it proves is devastating. Devastating. Even Jake Tapper had to admit on This Is CNN, this is not good for the FBI. I don't want to say it, but it kind of exonerates Trump. I can't say it. Will I lose my job? Roll cut 3. Mike.
Trump and his allies arguing that Durham would exonerate him and his 2016 campaign and associates from any hint of improper behavior regarding the Russian government's attempts to interfere. Durham is coming was the slogan and the meme tweeted by Republican lawmakers and the president's family, hinting that Durham would lead to bombshell indictments of those who investigated Trump. Now, the bombshell indictments did not happen. Durham did get one minor court victory, 2 court losses. But President Trump appeared so confident of what Durham would find, he openly pressured the special counsel to release his findings. Regardless, the report is now here. It has dropped, and it might not have produced everything of what some Republicans hoped for. It is, regardless, devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
Jake Tapper should be fired. I mean, he's trying to cover his rear end now, obviously, but he should be fired. Everybody at CNN should be fired. Nobody should ever watch that pitiful network ever again. That includes MSNBC. That includes NPR. I could go. The New York Times, the Washington Post, they should be ashamed of themselves. I'm telling you, Pravda and Izvestia in the old Soviet Union were more honest than those 2 papers. 617-266-6868. But in the end, all roads lead back to the dear leader, Obama and Biden. And that's why I fear nothing will be done. Jeff in the great state of Ohio. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
I don't know where to begin. I want to just sit down and cry. This is like the what do they say about insanity over and over again with trying to get a different result. I hate to say this, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but it's almost like I think it's been over for about 4 or 6 years. This country's already been taken over, and we're just not accepting it. And take a look at the Supreme Court all the way down from the elections and stuff. And with that 2024 election coming up, that's just another carrot to get us on down the road. By then, that's 18 months more. I'd say it doesn't look good, Jeff. I mean, I feel like, do I want to take the chemo or do I want to just live the rest of my life with the quality of life until it's completely gone? And if you try to use the wedge with finances, as soon as we start saying we're not going to pay taxes, well, they got 87,000 officers ready to pounce on us. They got us covered. It's almost checkmate. Your move, Jeff.
Jeff, I got to ask you, were you shocked by what, in any sense, were you shocked by the findings in the Durham report?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I after 7 years, I mean, he could have done that the next day. I mean, I wouldn't have been shocked then. Jury can come back and deliberate for 2 minutes. It was that clear case. Why it took 7 years, I'll never know. But it was a carrot, and it got us down the road farther. So the farther, it's like the more we struggle, the more we sink into the quicksand. Washington is completely gone. They need to be completely wiped out. We need to go independent, back to our own little governments. I want to see my tax dollars go to the road outside my house, so I got a paved road. I want better lighting. I want better security. We don't get that. Every other country gets it because our government is paying them off. I mean, it's just money laundering. We're being robbed.
We are. No, we're being robbed blind. You're complete, Jeff. We're being robbed blind. You're completely right. You're completely right, Jeff. Jeff, thank you very, very much for that call. Look, I just got to say this, in fairness to Durham. Look, do I wish he recommended indictments? Yes. I mean, there are parts of the report I wish he was much tougher. Look, I can read to you parts of the report. It's jarring. He dots every I, he crosses every T. There's no hyperbole. There's no exaggeration. He's surgical. He's methodical. Think of, it's like a scholar. It's just putting together an absolutely airtight, irrefutable case. And that's what he's done. That's why the media doesn't really know how to attack it. So they're just going to try to say, no new revelations. Nothing to see here. Durham's doing Trump's dirty work. So they're not getting into the substance of the report. And when you read it, I maybe it's just me, maybe it's my upbringing, I don't know. But I'm like, OMG. Holy shamoly. The depth of the corruption. The depth of this so-called conspiracy. I mean, Strzok knew from the beginning. Andrew McCabe knew from the beginning. Comey knew from the beginning. Biden in 2018, when he starts to begin his campaign for the presidency, gives a major speech, and he says that Trump colluded with Russia when he was there 2 years earlier in the Oval, in the Situation Room, forgive me. And he's being literally briefed. And Brennan is saying that this is all lies. I mean, this is all holy mackerel. I mean, they're going to go for the big monster lie on this one. And they're chuckling and laughing and, oh yeah. The way they lie to our face. How much time left, Mike? Okay, I'm going to play this cut on the other side. I'm going to continue to take your calls. Now that we know how they knew from the beginning that it was all false, I want you to listen to it now with that lens. Okay, so knowing now what we know definitively, irrefutably, how this was all one big lie. It was completely false, and they knew it was false. Now, listen to this. Listen how they lie and how effectively they lie without blinking. It's almost pathological. First, here is acting FBI director. This was in 2017. He was deputy director in 2016. He is deliberately told by Brennan in a written memo, classified written memo. No, it's all a lie. We know it's a lie. Hillary Clinton made the whole thing up. Trump is not colluding with the Russians. He's not colluding with Putin. The whole thing is it's pure BS. Listen to Andrew McCabe on CBS in 2017. Roll cut 16, Mike.
I was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. And that was something that troubled me greatly.
Notice he said may. Did you catch that? May. By the way, China's our greatest adversary. It's not even close, but let that go. Notice I was talking to him and I realized, oh my God, I was talking with the man who may colluded with Russia, our enemy, our greatest adversary. Oh my God, where's my TV contract? Okay. That was then acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe. Listen now to former FBI Director Comey. He was in the he was in the Situation Room. He was told to his face by Brennan. Never mind the memos he later received. Listen now to Comey. You want to see BS at its highest? Listen now to this. Roll cut 17A, Mike.
FBI is an honest, apolitical organization. I hope people will stare at that and learn about what the FBI is like. Human and flawed, but deeply committed to trying to do the right thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. As Comey signs off, we have to spy on Trump. We have to spy on the campaign, spy on his presidency. Holy mackerel. Here, one more. Here's former director of national intelligence, Clapper. He was with Brennan, so he knows it's all BS. May 2017 on NBC. Watch this. Listen to this liar. Roll cut 19. Mike.
My dashboard warning light was clearly on, and I think that was the case with all of us in the intelligence community, very concerned about the nature of these approaches to the Russians.
Yeah. In other words, everything that Hillary told Steele to put in his dossier, you put all that BS, all that bullcrap, we put in there. Now, let me sound officious. Let me talk in a low voice, deep voice, and let me sound like I'm very serious, very ponderous. The intelligence community, meaning Hillary's campaign and the DNC, the intelligence community was very concerned about the approaches by the Russians. Well, which Russians? Sources and methods. Can't reveal that. Okay. Can you give us at least a name or something? Or that's a highly classified, very classified intelligence. Are you a mouthpiece for Vladimir Putin? How dare you question us? Are you an agent? Are you Jeff Kuhner? Are you an agent of the Kremlin? You POS, you traitor, you. And that's what they did to this country day after day, week after week, month after month. Why do you think so much of the public and the libs can't stand Trump? Why do you think we have Trump derangement syndrome, where you mention his name, it's like Pavlov's dog. They start foaming. They start salivating. They want to eat him. They want to kill the guy. Why? Because of this relentless propaganda barrage. It started with Hillary Clinton, then it was fed to the CIA and the FBI, and then they fed it to the media. And they did it day after day after day, even after Hillary lost. To the point now, look, they so revile Putin. That's why they're all in on the war in Ukraine. That's why they even want World War III. That's why you just mentioned Trump. Kill him! I just said his name. Kill him! That's the poison, the hatred, the disinformation. Sorry, let me say it the way the Russians say it. The disinformation that they injected into our country for all of these 7 years. And now, all of it revealed one giant lie. There wasn't even a kernel of truth to it. Not even a scintilla. It wasn't even 99% false, 1% true. It wasn't even that. Now, if heads don't roll over this, we're not a country. We're not a republic, and there's no rule of law. Like, really, seriously. So, I'm going to ask Jim Jordan. We're going to have him on again this Friday. Jim, Congressman, you read the report. You know the report. Who are we going to be indicting? Who gets held accountable? Because if nobody gets held accountable, we are now not the United States of America. We are now the Banana Republic of America. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Arthur in Chestnut Hill. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. To begin with, I don't know what we're getting all excited about this report. This report's a joke. When the Mueller report finally came out, that already vindicated Trump, and it was all over. We already knew what was going on. And the worst adversary that this country has is our own government. Forget about China. Our own government. What's going on in this country is what our government is doing to us. And what are we doing about it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Our voice is heard on your medium, but that's about it. And when the people who call this radio show, who are very, very intelligent and astute and rightly upset because they're watching the greatest country in the world go down the tubes, and it's not very far from complete evaporation, Jeff. What we're witnessing is, Biden was bicycling yesterday. They asked him about the border. He has this real evil laugh. He laughs about the border. But you know what? I'm starting to think that what the border is. I've seen a few of these Chinese people crossing the border. Now, to begin with, I don't know why Chinese people have a problem getting into this country legally, unless there's another purpose. But what I saw on the type of Chinese that were coming in, they looked like military-type people. I'm just wondering if this whole thing isn't a camouflage to turn around and bring a whole military Chinese army into this country, put them on those bases that are bought outside the military base, and one day they're going to get the call. And what are we doing about it? Nothing. Okay, we're not doing anything about what's been going on the border for and it's now 30 years. 30 years. For 10 years, they said only 11 million came across. And by the way, those 11 or 20 or 30 million, those people have multiplied 3 times over. And on it goes. And we're turning around. We've destroyed this country. We've destroyed our educational system. That's why nobody cares and nobody's educated. That was the biggest thing about this country. We were smart. We were dedicated. We cared. We saluted the flag. Everything that I remember about coming to America in 1950, it's gone. It's totally gone. Only the guilty go free. Nothing's going to happen to anybody. And you know why you know that? Because nothing has happened. We don't have control of our country anymore, Jeff. This report is a joke. It took all this time to tell us what we already knew. And unless we get rid of this media, we know who our enemies are. We know who the enemies of this country within our country. They talk about collusion. The only collusion is in our government, and they've taken our rights away. What people died for, the great history of America, is being destroyed by people who hate this country, and we've allowed them into our government. And the fact that a man like Joe Biden, who can walk around and not even be questioned about his involvement and his big corruption scheme, is amazing to me. You get the president and you ask him about what did you do on Mother's Day? Do you think? And Nixon didn't get questions like that, did he?
No, that's an excellent point, Arthur. You're completely right. Arthur, I want to ask you this, because I'm getting a lot of texts and emails saying the reason why they will never hold people accountable for this is because all roads lead to Obama. And God forbid, if they were to indict Obama, we saw with Black Lives Matter, what Antifa, what the Democrats would do just in the summer of 2020 over a violent criminal who was, stoned at the time. He was high. George Floyd. Look what they did to the country over George Floyd. Imagine what they would do to the country if they actually indicted Obama for all of his crimes and all of his treason. There'd be nothing left. They'd burn the whole country to the ground. Am I wrong, Arthur?
Well, you're right. I mean, they don't need much of a reason, do they, to riot and destroy their own cities, and that's what's going to get destroyed is the cities. They don't come out to the rural areas. But the fact is, we have to stand up to it. We knew what was going to happen, but then you have the heads of these cities who just turn along and are complicit with these people. They say, let them do what they're doing. It's their expression of free speech and exercising their rights. We can't exercise our rights, but they can exercise. I never heard of a right of destruction as a right in this America. I don't see destroying public property and murdering people as one of the Bill of Rights. I never noticed that in the Bill of Rights.
Arthur, as always, thank you so much for your call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. So you know what? Let me repeat then the poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services, because it's tied directly to Arthur's point. Do you believe anything will now happen after the release of the Durham report? Will the Durham report lead to anything happening? Will someone be fired, held accountable, go to jail? Will there be some concrete consequences and impact? Yes or no? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. On Twitter, you can also vote there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, at the Kuhner Report. John in Milton. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Jeff, the only retribution we're going to get is through a civil suit. That's the beauty of this. We may not be able to get criminal charges, but they have got on a silver platter handed to them a great defamation suit, civil suit, and that will require depositions, and you'll be able to get all the facts on the record for the public to hear, which is kind of what we had the other night when Trump was on CNN. So this is our opportunity to get all of the people that were brainwashed to hear the real facts. So forget about criminal. It's not going to happen with this DOJ, but Trump has got a great civil case for defamation of character, libel, whatever you want to call it, against many, many people. And that's the route he should go. And he should call up news conference today and announce that.
That's very interesting. I didn't even think about that. But you're completely right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. He can sue all of these news organizations, all of these media outlets. He can go after Hillary. He can go after the DNC. He can go after Comey. I mean, he can do tremendous, tremendous damage to these people. John, I want to ask you, why aren't more Republicans outraged? Some are. I played Josh Hawley. I can play him again in my opening monologue where he said, Hillary needs to be prosecuted. The FBI needs to be broken up. People need to pay. But outside of a few voices in the Republican Party, again, silence. Why? Why?
The fortitude, Jeff, and until Trump is back in, if he gets in, then you'll see them all rally. But the squishy Republicans, they don't have the guts. But more importantly, going back to what I said, if you think about the fact that they've set a precedent where a civil suit can be filed against an ex-president, Trump, last week, then guess what? Anything goes. So we can get depositions of Comey, Hillary, Obama, all the people that on the record, so that, we may not get them criminally at this point, but we'll have all of the documentation. If nothing else, at least we can put it in the history books. And this is a great opportunity. Everyone was upset that Durham didn't suggest criminal charges. He's not a stupid man. He knows you can suggest all you want. This DOJ will do nothing. I think Durham handed us on a silver platter what we need to get all of this out and institutionalized.
John, a really, really good point. Thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. Sal in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Sal, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I wanted to make an analogy or a comparison on this. If there isn't proof and evidence for a class action lawsuit So I'm going to make a comparison. If you bought a car at a dealership, a new car, and you were bringing it back for service every 3,000 miles, and things kept happening to it, and then you'd bring it back, fix it, and then things kept happening to it throughout the time you had it. And you could prove that there was a service manager and a mechanic that was making these, doing these things to it. Isn't that basically what these people did to the American people that voted for this president? They hamstrung him based on all this. So the guy that we voted for, that we wanted to accomplish the things that we put him in office for, they just hamstrung him all along the way. So it's kind of the same analogy of you bought something and it was purposely messed with and damaged. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're completely right. Oh, you're dead on. No, look, I would even go further. You're right, but I would go even further. We were disenfranchised. I think there's no question. Just to me, there's no doubt about it. And now we know definitively that the FBI is fully in the camp with the Democrats, the CIA fully in the camp with the Democrats. And the thing that's most disgusting, Sal, is that you have all of these idiots now who have gotten jobs in the media, McCabe, all these other Comey, all these other idiots are like, oh, this is a sad, pathetic ending. Look at this report. And they're trying to poo-poo it. The FBI came out with an official statement yesterday saying everything in the Durham report is true. It's all true. We don't deny it. Now they're claiming, however, this is their way out. But we've instituted reforms, changes, new guidelines, new policies. So what happened against Trump will never happen again. And I'm thinking, really? Well, Kuhner just asked for a smoking gun document from a whistleblower that shows Joe Biden took money from a foreign power in order to change policy when he was vice president. It's the document that will bring down his entire presidency. It's unclassified. Just hand it over. And what did the FBI and the DOJ say? Niet. No. So here they are protecting Biden, covering up for the Democrats again. Nothing has changed. It's the same old FBI. Meet the new boss. Same as the old boss. The FBI is broken. It is irredeemably corrupt. It must be dismantled and broken to pieces. Or else, I'm telling you, we are no longer running this country. The deep state is running this country. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me just play one more cut because I think it gets to the heart of the matter. Not only are there powerful vested interests within the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the DOJ, the entire intelligence community known as the deep state, that are going to continue to be in the tank for Democrats, but you also have the media. Listen now to Jonathan Turley on Fox saying, look, the revelations are explosive. They're devastating. It's obvious now. The media lied. The FBI, CIA were caught lying. All of this originated with Hillary Clinton and her campaign. They fabricated this story that Trump was colluding with the Russians. But where is this going to go? Well, we got a problem. Listen to Turley. Roll cut 8A, Mike.
Where it goes is probably nowhere. The media played a role in what was the greatest scam in political history. They have an interest. They're invested. And just coming here, I heard 20 words on this subject, followed by 2 minutes on Martha Stewart making the cover of Sports Illustrated. That's what you're going to see in the days to come.
Why? Because the media were directly complicit in disseminating the lie about Trump. So if they talk about Durham and really get into all the details and what it really exposes, the media's credibility, its very legitimacy, destroyed. Destroyed. Because they lied to us day after day after day for years and years and years. The framing of President Trump, what is now being exposed, the Russia collusion hoax, was the dirtiest, most corrupt act in the history of the United States. And Trump was its victim, as were you, as was me, as were every Trump supporter. And now the question is, Trump has been vindicated. What should he do? What do we need to do? That this never happens again, and that the criminals who perpetrated this are held to justice, are held accountable, and that justice is done. 617-266-6868. Susie in Newton. Thanks for holding, Susie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Building on what Arthur had said, he touched on something that people really need to think about. This is all part of a huge plan. It's been going on for several years as we're putting together the pieces now. Thinking about this border and all the crossings, they've already said that there have been terrorists that have been caught. How many have not been caught? And then Arthur had said something about Chinese coming through. People need to start thinking about the big picture. They need to start thinking down the road. They need to start thinking about, believe it or not, today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's fact. And if anybody has seen the movie Red Dawn, they need to start thinking on those terms, because there is a plan to eliminate the United States, and it's only we the people that are going to be able to stop this. How we stop it, we need to figure it out, and we need to figure it out very fast. Very fast.
Susie, I'm just curious, what do you make of the Durham report that, I mean, I know it says what you and I and most of this audience has known for years, but here you have now the FBI exposed, CIA exposed, the media completely exposed, and you and I, we were libeled. Trump obviously was the one who was most libeled, but we were called Russian hacks, Russia colluders. We were called agents of Russia and the Kremlin because we supported Trump. And now it turns out the whole thing was one big, giant lie. It was a hoax. I mean, I'm just curious, Susie, where do we go as a country after this? I mean, I hear you on the border, don't get me wrong, but as a country, look at what, the FBI is supposed to be our premier law enforcement agency. The CIA is supposed to be our premier intelligence agency. They're supposed to be defending you and me. Instead, they've turned into political tools, political weapons, a modern-day Stasi on behalf of the Democratic Party to suppress you and me, to rule over you and me. Where do we go? No, really, where do we go? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Susie in Newton. Susie, you look at the Durham report. It is so devastating and so damning on so many levels. Just to add to what I asked you before the break, it now even reveals that they lied to the FISA court. The FBI deliberately lied to the FISA court in order to spy on Carter Page and other Trump advisors so they could spy on Trump, his campaign, and afterwards his presidency. We have a rogue FBI that believes it's above the law and it can surveil, spy, and destroy Americans at will. Where do we go from here?
We are rational people. We can figure this out. These are all pieces to the puzzle. They're all falling into place. We need to figure out how to dismantle this puzzle. This is huge. This is, okay, you've touched on it. This is Obama. This is Biden. This is Klaus Schwab. This is George Soros. This is Bill Gates. This is the Davos 1700 elites. This is all a part of the plan, and it's like a puzzle, and the pieces are starting to fit together. They all interlock, and the end game, the final puzzle, is to make it all a one world order. This is what this is all about. All of it. If you think about it rationally, this is what it's all about. And you know what? We have to dismantle some of our law enforcement, because they're obviously all a part of the puzzle. Now, I'm not saying everybody in the FBI or everybody in the CIA. There are good ones in there, and there are rational people there, but they're being overshadowed by the ones that are corrupt, by the ones that are being bought off, by the ones that have the ultimate plan in mind, and that's what their driving force is. And you know what? We are a free nation. That is one of the reasons why we are envied around the world, because we're a free nation. Why are we allowing this to happen?
I so agree. Oh, Susie, I so agree. Susie, thank you. Really good call. Thank you for that call. No, look, let me tell you what Durham is exposing. Again, not intentionally, but just, again, through the sheer weight of the evidence. We're living in a police state. They have created a police state right in front of our eyes. And this is a police state that serves the Democratic regime and the Democratic Party. Again, like a modern-day Stasi or KGB or Gestapo, whatever. Take your pick. It's an American Stasi. And so what the FBI and the CIA essentially did was they go, no, we know what's best for this country. And what we're going to do is the worst thing possible. We're going to try to frame him as an agent of a foreign power, as an agent of one of our adversaries, Mother Russia. And they did it knowing it was all a lie. So they deliberately targeted an innocent man. Now, if they can do this to Trump, imagine what they can do to you and me. And we don't even have to speculate. As one of the texters pointed out, if you remember, I had the author, Jerome Corsi, on. You remember? Well, the FBI interviewed Corsi. He was then an 80-year-old man. And they knew that there was no collusion between Trump and Russia. We now know. But they tried to get him because he couldn't remember an email that he had written to his daughter, if you remember, about some weekend plan and to go see a baseball game. And so they used that as leverage, saying, well, it appears to us that what you wrote in your email about what your weekend plans were with your daughter are very different from what you told us when we were talking, when we interrogated you. And he's like, okay, I'm 80 years old. I misremembered. And they tried to use that as leverage, saying, we're going to put you in jail for the rest of your life for lying to the FBI if you don't give us some dirt on Trump regarding Russia. Now, luckily, Corsi stuck to his guns, and eventually he was vindicated. He didn't break. But the FBI was trying to coerce a false confession out of Jerome Corsi. And they kept trying to do that to people, and look how many lives they destroyed. Like in the old Soviet Union. Confess, but I'm not guilty. Confess. In order to pin and frame Trump. Now you know why we have a massive wide open border. Because our intelligence community doesn't care about keeping out terrorists because now they believe that the enemy is us. We're now their enemy. The greatest threat to them and their power is that, according to them, is us. So when Trump said, drain the swamp, they were like, OMG, no. This guy is not coming in and ruining our party. The gravy train is going to continue to roll. That's what the Durham report is exposing. Now, very quickly, because all of you need to know this. In the Tucson sector in Arizona, just last Friday, they caught not one, not two, not three, five illegal aliens who are on the terrorist watch list. They weren't together. They were caught separately. Five terrorists were caught trying to enter the United States on Friday. And according to the Customs and Border Protection, they said, those are the 5 that we luckily caught. Do you know how many have escaped? How many managed to sneak into our country that we didn't catch? Over the last couple months, 80 illegal aliens were terrorists trying to enter the country that we caught under Biden. 80. So that can only tell you how many terrorists have actually gotten in. Now, why isn't the FBI focused on that? Why isn't the CIA focused on that? Instead, let me tell you what they're focused on. Get Trump at all costs. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Henry in Walpole. Thanks for holding, Henry, and welcome.
Yes, Jeff. The FBI and the media fear the distribution of this document. And I'm not talking about the computer, sitting at a computer and looking at 300 pages. Most people aren't going to do that. They want this document in their hands. They want to read it. It should be must reading for the American people. And it needs to be distributed by having it copied and made available to the American people. Not on a computer. It'll probably be wiped up soon. I looked at it this morning, but I'm not one, and I don't think most of your listeners are people who want to sit at a computer looking at 300 pages. Could you or someone in the Trump campaign distribute this at centers throughout the country, in libraries? It's a historical document. It's must reading. It's important. The media fears it. The FBI fears it. And we've got to get it out to the people. We don't want talking heads. I heard a guy on CNN yesterday. He said, here's what he said. I call this a dud. I call it the Durham dud. That's what he called that document. We won't be hearing about this document in probably 48 hours. We won't even hear Durham's name mentioned. We've got to get it out to the general public in readable, written format.
I agree. No, I agree. I think you're dead on, Henry. And to show you how effective the report is, again, go to the FBI's website. I can read to everybody the statement if you want. The FBI has come out. They've cried uncle. The FBI said, no, everything in there is true. Everything, literally, the FBI said it's all true, but the way out, as I mentioned earlier, is, but we fixed it. We have new policies, new guidelines, new procedures, blah, 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 blah. So this will never, so don't worry, this will never happen again, as they're covering up the document that will show Biden was being bribed. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quick, because I want to go back to the blazing phone lines. I touched on it earlier, but just to emphasize the point, how nothing has changed. You want to see what a joke we've now become on the world stage under Joe Biden. Just yesterday, the Durham report released. Okay, bombshell revelations. I mean, it's stuff we already knew, but now it's fully confirmed, fully corroborated. The IRS publicly announces, they're not even hiding it. It's like right to our face. They have now withdrawn, pulled back the entire investigative team. The IRS's investigators, all of their team, from investigating Hunter Biden on tax fraud and tax evasion. Because the Department of Justice, i.e. the FBI, told them to. And why did they tell them to pull back? A, to cover up for Hunter, because he's going down. So they have to protect the president's son. And by the way, if Hunter goes down, Joe goes down, because he's directly connected. In fact, he's the godfather of the Biden crime family. And because in retaliation, and they openly said it, well, there's an IRS whistleblower that Comer, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, and Jordan, the chair of the Judiciary Committee, they've been talking to this whistleblower, showing how Merrick Garland and top DOJ, FBI officials are putting tremendous pressure on investigators not to go after Hunter Biden and all of his crimes. Well, you're going to lean on that whistleblower? You're going to use that whistleblower? Well, blank you. In retaliation, we're withdrawing the entire team. Under orders from the Department of Justice and the FBI. So this whole, we've changed. New policies, new leadership, new guidelines, new procedures. Bull. What I would give to say the word. Bull, you know what? BS. Pure BS. Nothing has changed. Nothing. But to show you, again, just to be fair to Durham, how thorough, meticulous, comprehensive, and accurate his report is, the FBI, in an official statement, they cried uncle. They go, no, we don't dispute anything. We don't dispute a word in the report. So when someone says, oh, this is sad, this is pathetic, this is a dud. No, it's the exact opposite. You just don't want the truth to come out. You're trying to cover up for your crimes. The crimes of the media, the crimes of the FBI, the crimes of the CIA, the crimes of Peter Strzok, of McCabe, of Comey, and most importantly, of Obama and Biden. That's the heart and soul of the report. Not only did they know Trump was being framed, not only did they know all of the Russia collusion allegations were false, they told the FBI and CIA, take Trump down. Spy, surveil, lie, frame him, do what you gotta do. Now, I want to play this. Knowing what we now know, Schiff knew it was all false. Swalwell, remember him? He knew it was all false. All of them knew. Brennan, Clapper, every single one of them knew it was all a pack of lies. Listen now. Here's a montage of what they said in 2017, 2018, 2019. Perpetuating the propaganda, the disinformation, the lie that Trump had colluded and was colluding with Putin and the Russians. Roll cut 18A, Mike.
Do you believe the president right now has been an agent of the Russians?
Yes, I think there's more evidence than he is. Yes, and I think all the arrows point in that direction. And I haven't seen a single piece of evidence that he's not.
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia.
Why?
Well, I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult.
This past weekend is illustrative of what a great case officer Vladimir Putin is. He knows how to handle an asset, and that's what he's doing with the president.
We already know that the part about the coverage that they have on him with sex actions is supposed to be true.
The American people need to know whether the Russians still have something they can hold over the president's head, the president of the United States. So our work is far from done. I can certainly say with confidence that there is significant evidence of collusion between the campaign and Russia.
I mean, this is incredible. When you realize Brennan's one, part of that montage, and he says, what does Putin have over Trump? And he's the guy that tells Obama and Biden and Comey to their face, it's all false. Hillary's going to do this in order to deflect from her private email server. It's all garbage. The whole thing is false. Clapper, he tells them it's all false. And still they go out, oh, he's a great case officer, Vladimir Putin. He owns the president. He owns Trump. How you can stand there and lie, a bald-faced lie. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, have you no conscience? Have you no soul? Have you no sense of decency or morality? And I want you to think about this. I'm not trying to depress you, but, we have to confront the truth if we're going to fix problems in our country. These are the people that ran they ran our intelligence services. So it's obvious, if they're willing to lie about something as gigantic and consequential as this, what else aren't they lying about? To me, it's obvious. Anything they say is a lie. When will the New York Times, when will the Washington Post return their Pulitzer Prizes? When will we hear mea culpa? I'm sorry, we were wrong. That's now the question. 617-266-6868. Let me put this now. Let me throw this log on the fire. Is it time to dismantle the FBI? Is it time to dismantle the CIA? Is it time to burn them to the ground and then rebuild them into an honest, professional, objective, real law enforcement or intelligence community? And are these institutions now corrupt, institutionally corrupt? I say yes. What do you say? Have you lost all faith and confidence in the FBI, in the CIA, and above all, in the corporate media? Is it now irreformable? Is it time to break them up? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call.
My
Your
pleasure.
Show, it's just so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
I just want to, lend my 2 cents to this. As someone who I traveled, my husband's a 27-year military veteran, retired lieutenant colonel, and I remember because I traveled with him everywhere that he could be accompanied. So I got to see a lot, and I know that one of the biggest complaints he always had was civilians, because the civilian workforce, they don't get things done. It's not like the military. So, like when you give soldiers a duty, they have a mission, they get it done. That doesn't happen with the civilians. And that's what we're talking about when you talk about anything that's in D.C. In my opinion, I believe not only should the CIA, FBI, and all these other that they should be not burned down, but at least the top 3 levels of management, they need to be given an option to retire or go to different posts. I also think with everyone who is a representative, Congress and the Senate, they don't need to be in D.C. They should be forced back into their districts, to their states, and have their offices local. And when they need to meet, they could meet by Zoom. Washington, D.C. is corrupt. You've got more civilians, what do you call them, civil servants, making a lot of money. You're talking 3 to 4 times as much as anybody doing the same job in the civilian workforce. In D.C., you have a hub of people who think they are entitled. That place needs to be just wiped out. Send them all home. Send them home with their staff. They don't need all the staff that they have. Why do these people have so many staff members? That's what needs to happen. And until that happens, you're going to have what we've got right now. I don't think it's going to change. Republicans need to be on the ground, grassroots, doing just what Democrats are. I was a Democrat longer than I've been a Republican. I joined the Republican Party in 2004. I was a Democrat before then and always an activist. They get it done. They get on message. They get out there in the street. People have pocket money. Republicans have to take it to the street, take it to the people, talk to people, bring people in. Everyone's hurting right now. As a black person, I can tell you, I wear my Trump gear everywhere, anywhere, all the time. I got a concealed carry, so don't worry about me. But, and I get a lot of, hey, I love that shirt. Hey, I love your hat. And I love it. I even got the tights with Trump along the legs on them. Because the man is the best thing that's happened. And I'm talking to people all the time who are hurting, who realize how much better things are now. Republicans, we can win this thing, but we've got to be smart about it. And I think that's why they don't want Trump in, because he's coming in there like a bull in the china closet, and he's going to burn it to the ground. He's going to start
I agree. Oh, Barbara, I agree on everything. Everything you said, I agree completely. Barbara, as always, great call, and thank you. 617-266-6868. Now, Trump has issued several statements already about the Durham report. He says it's the greatest scandal in American history. I agree. He said what they did was not just treasonous, but it was dangerous to our country. Because what it did is it deliberately divided and inflamed many Americans into thinking that Trump was complicit with Russia, that Trump was owned by a foreign government and a foreign power, and this sparked and incited such massive hatred against him that the country now has been almost irretrievably broken. And Trump is now vowing, saying, if I come back to power, Comey will pay. The FBI will be held accountable. These people will go to jail. I will be like the sheriff coming into town, and I'm going to putting these outlaws behind bars. That if we don't rein in the deep state, they've taken over and hijacked our democracy, our republic, our constitution. So Trump is now saying this will be a fight to the finish. And armed now with the power and the evidence and the truth in the Durham report, he's going to go after every single enemy, and he's going to take them out. He's thrown down the gauntlet. So get ready for a war, a political, ideological, media information war, because that's what it's going to be now for the next 18 months. 617-266-6868. Patrick in the great state of New York. Thanks for holding, Patrick, and welcome.
I have to tell you, the one thing the Durham report does is it takes away all of the Republicans' excuses. If words were water, the Republicans would drown us all. I'm tired of hearing Jim Jordan. I'm tired of hearing the guy from Kentucky talk and talk and talk. I want to see action. I want to see impeachments. I want to see the briefer class of the FBI broken up. I don't want to, and I have to be honest with you. I'm a DeSantis guy. I think, the number one guy that's all talk and little action is Donald Trump. He didn't know how to staff his administration. And this is, and this report is the end product of that. Where I think we need a guy that can lead us and govern effectively the way Mr. DeSantis has done in Florida.
Patrick, do you think DeSantis can gut the deep state? Can he rein him in?
I think he can. I don't think any one man could do it in instantaneously. I think you're gonna have to, cut away at it. I forget who said it, but they built this thing over 50 years. It's not going to go away in one administration. But I think DeSantis, to be honest with you, I think DeSantis has a viciousness that Trump doesn't have. He has a killer. Trump is kind of the loud guy in the bar, but DeSantis is the quiet guy that's more vicious. And I think I think he would do something like put in a Civil Rights Act that makes it impossible for the FBI to prosecute people for process crimes. I think that's the way he thinks. I think he's more strategic than Trump is.
Well, Patrick, I can tell you this. They're going to destroy DeSantis. If he's the nominee, they're going to do to him what they've tried to do to Trump. That you can take to the bank. They don't want Trump and they don't want DeSantis. So I hope DeSantis realizes the deep state is his mortal enemy. Now, yes, we're talking 2016 because Trump was the nominee and then he eventually won. But when you read the Durham report, Patrick, honestly, as a patriot, you're like, they're illegally spying, surveilling. They're trying to frame him. He's innocent. They're trying to paint him as an agent of Russia. And they're feeding these lies to the media, and the media knows they're lies, but they're parroting these lies. And they set up the Mueller report. And they do everything to try to force him to resign and destroy his presidency and block him and obstruct him. Now, obviously, they're going to be creative. They're not going to, try to go after DeSantis as an agent of Russia. That's too obvious. They're going to come after him on something. But what we now see is that the FBI and the CIA are the mortal enemies of democracy and of our republic. And they believe they are the ultimate gatekeepers. They decide who becomes president. They decide who runs our country, not we the people. And Patrick, I'm telling you, you are dead on. You are dead on. If DeSantis doesn't think strategically, they're going to devour him. Should he win the nomination or the presidency, they will devour him the way they devoured Trump. Take it to the bank. They may be competitive, but they have the same enemies. Patrick, thank you very, very much for that call. Trump now has come out and said the FBI and those who disseminated the lies of Russia collusion, quote, must pay a heavy price, unquote. So Trump now clearly vindicated, absolutely proven to be the victim of a frame-up job by the Hillary Clinton campaign. They were the ones who created this false notion, this lie, that Trump was connected to Putin and to the Russians. Then they fed it to the FBI and the CIA. The FBI and the CIA, even though, as Durham shows conclusively, knew it was a lie, they fed it to the media. The media, knowing it was a lie, fed it to the American public. Day after day, month after month, year after year. Do we now have a crisis of democracy? And can you ever believe anything the corporate media or the FBI or the CIA ever says again? Have you lost confidence in all of these institutions? And do they now need to be fundamentally changed and reformed? 617-266-6868 is the number. I want to play a cut from Devin Nunes. He was on Newsmax. And by the way, apparently Sandy just told me the ratings are in. Newsmax now has beaten CNN. Newsmax is now part of the big three. So clearly they've taken enough of Fox's audience to now build up Newsmax, and they've now leapfrogged over, this is CNN. And now it's Newsmax, MSNBC, and Fox. They are now the big three. CNN is number 4. Listen now to Devin Nunes. Because if you want to talk about hitting the nail on the head, he hits the nail right on the head. This sums it up beautifully. Roll cut 2, Mike.
The Department of Justice and the FBI are solely owned by the Democratic Party and their propaganda machine. And this Durham report ought to scare the living hell out of everyone, because think about this. It's only gotten worse since this time period. We're talking about 2016
Absolutely.
and 2017 and 2018. This changed the course of human history. Remember, we had to sit through year after year after year of this nonsense of Trump and Republicans having something to do with Russia. Chris, even to this day, you have lunatics that say that every single day. So the Department of Justice, the FBI, congratulations, you scumbags. You have successfully poisoned the minds of millions of Americans, while at the same time, you're going to have half of America, including myself, who doesn't trust anything the Department of Justice or the FBI have to say.
He nailed it. He in 1 minute, 59 seconds, he absolutely nailed it. I will never trust the DOJ again, nor should I, the FBI, or the entire corrupt corporate media. Yes, we knew all this. I get it. Many of you are saying, Jeff, there's nothing new here. True, you're right. You're completely right. But we have been vindicated. Everything that we said has now been irrefutably proven and corroborated. And when Devin Nunes says the FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA are completely owned by the Democratic Party, he is completely right. Completely right. And they poisoned the minds, polluted the minds, warped and manipulated the minds of half of the American people, the Bills in Sudbury, the Bens in North Andover. And to this day, they believe Trump and the Republicans, me. Like, I'm pro-Putin. Are you insane? But repetition. As Goebbels famously said, that's the key to propaganda. Even if it's a lie, just say it over and over and over and over and over, and eventually it'll be accepted as truth. And by poisoning the minds of so many Americans, look at the permanent damage they've done to our democracy, to our country. This was treason. They committed treason of the highest order. I'm sorry. I'm with Trump all the way. Heads need to roll. Agree, disagree. Forrest on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Forrest, and welcome.
Come on, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Everybody feels that nothing is getting done. The facts are on the table. We have certain people that have done the work, that have shown and brought the dirt and the scum to the surface. All we need is the strong, honorable patriots and people like Trump to prosecute. All we need is one. Just grab one of these people that are involved, and everybody's going to come knocking on your door. We did it to crime families over and over again. All it takes is one person. You grab the right person, and they're all going to come knocking on your door. Enough is enough. The facts are the facts. We see and we know it's the facts. It's just that for so long the media has been telling people that the apple on the table is an orange, and everybody's buying into it. We can't wait any longer. We can't wait till Trump comes in, because they know that's what's going to happen. People, America just need one person to fall and make it very public.
In other words, it's
And I
sort of
think
like
that's all-
dominoes, right? Is that what you're saying? One falls like dominoes, everyone else will fall.
Absolutely. They've taken down because you've taken somebody, one of the Lillings off the ladder, and they see what's going to happen, and they all try to save their souls. Pretty simple. It's large. It's a large scam, and it's a large operation, but it can be done.
Forrest, I'm going to have Jim Jordan on again. It could be the last time. We'll see. But we're going to have Jim Jordan on again this Friday at 8:30. Is he the guy? In other words, what question would you want me to ask him in terms of let's finally start putting people behind bars? You know what? Let me ask all of you. I've asked Forrest, but let me ask all of you. What should I ask Jordan on Friday? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, many of you have been emailing, texting the Kuhner Man. By the way, you can text us 70470, saying, Jeff, where are the libs today? How come they're not going on about Russia? Because they've got egg all over their face. Can you imagine being them today? No, really. You wake up and you're like, everything we've been saying, everything we've been told has been one big fat lie. I mean, if I were them, I wouldn't show my face in public. But that's me. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. I almost said good afternoon. Good morning there, Jeff.
Good morning.
Okay, I only read like 3 pages out of the middle of the report. I didn't read the whole report. Congratulations for you staying up and reading it. That must have been a heroic task. Anyway, the basic question is, and it's the same one I've had since the very beginning. Did the Trump campaign people, did they all decide separately or together to conceal their Russian contacts? This is what you should ask Representative Jordan.
There were very few Russian contacts.
There's 20 some odd.
No, that's nothing.
That they conceal.
No, that's nothing. Durham addresses this directly in the report. This is what I find incredible. I'm sorry, Bill. This is incredible. You have the FBI officially saying that the Durham report is completely accurate. They don't dispute a word of it. You even have CNN, Jake Tapper, saying it's devastating to the FBI and it's an exoneration of Trump. You called this show every week for 7 effing years, saying Trump was an agent of Russia, he colluded with Putin, and now when you've been shown in front of your eyes that this was all a massive lie, concocted by the Hillary Clinton campaign and with the FBI, with the full support of the FBI and the CIA, you stand here and say, talk to me about the connections to Russia? They had infinitely more communications with dozens of other countries or other members than Russia. So there was nothing nefarious. Russia is a great power. Trump was an incoming administration. Of course they're going to have communications and emails and calls with Russians, as they would with Egyptians, as they would with the Chinese, as they would with Germans. You made it up into something nefarious. And instead of having the honor and the integrity to say, Jeff, I was wrong, you still push the Russia collusion. And really, seriously, what, the Holocaust didn't happen? Like, what's going to come out of your mouth next?
You make a very nice speech to a very simple question. Did they decide separately or together to conceal their Russian contacts? It's a very simple question.
They never concealed their Russian contacts. I'll tell you this, Bill. Don't even read 3 pages. Read the executive summary.
Tell me the answer.
I'll give you the answer. They never concealed their Russian contacts. They didn't have any nefarious Russian contacts. Durham proves this conclusively. The only one that's still pushing this garbage is you.
Your position is that you want answers from absolutely everybody except one guy.
I just gave you the answer. The Durham report addresses the influence of Russia on the Trump campaign. If you want, I can read you chapter and verse. It's in the executive summary as well. So you don't have to look at the report. Look at the executive summary. The executive summary explicitly states there were no secret contacts with the Russians. That was a lie. That was from the Steele dossier, who based it on Danchenko. Danchenko made it up. It was all made up. So there were no secret contacts. So I've answered your question, and it's directly addressed by Durham. So my question to you is, will you now apologize for spreading lies, slander, and libel against Trump and against me? Will you? Yes or no?
Yes. I know you get very triggered when the moonbat
No. There's no trigger.
Call you names.
No. There's no trigger. You said I was an agent of Russia. You said I was an agent of the Kremlin. You said Trump was an agent of Putin. And you repeated that calumny repeatedly. If I had $1 for every time you said it, I'd be a millionaire. You've been exposed now as a liar, a gullible liar and smear merchant. Now, will you have the basic decency to say, Jeff, mea culpa, I was wrong?
How did the Hillary Clinton campaign or the FBI get Don Jr. to reveal the Trump Tower meeting? What
the Trump Tower meeting is addressed in the Durham report. It had nothing to do with collusion with the Russians or with the Kremlin or with the Putin. That's addressed that's addressed. And it's been addressed, by the way, it's been addressed many times before. You're dodging my question. So let me ask you, answer my question. It is now false. It is a lie. There was no collusion. You lied. You lied about Trump and you lied about me. Will you apologize?
Yeah, I know you get very triggered when people call you names.
No, it's not a question of being triggered. It's a question of wanting the truth. It's not being triggered. Now be a man. Come on, be a man. You lied about me and you lied about Trump. Will you apologize?
How did the Hillary Clinton campaign and the crooked FBI get Donald Trump to name a shady Russian businessman as his top advisor, foreign policy advisor on national TV?
Bill.
Right.
You're humiliating yourself. There was no collusion with Russia, the Kremlin, or Putin. It is definitive. The FBI has admitted it was a lie. The FBI. So, will you apologize? Yes or no? Bill?
Hello?
Bill,
I'm here.
Will you apologize?
I'm going
yes
through
or no?
traffic here. Listen, Jeff, I'm not against you, okay? I really am not. I want to understand.
Will you apologize? Well, read the report. Look, if you want to understand the nature of the entire lie, it's all in the report in meticulous detail. Last chance, yes or no? Will you apologize?
You have this idea that I'm against you.
Will you apologize? Yes or no?
Apologize for what? For calling a call-in show?
For lying. Yes or no? Come on, Bill, you can do it. Did he hang up? His world is collapsing around him. Bill in Sudbury, huh? No. I told Sandy, I go, he's a flat earther. You can show him pictures of the sun, the moon, the planet. No. 617-266-6868. Part of me feels a little sorry for the Moonbats today because their world is crashing down all around them. Russ in Boston. Thanks for holding, Russ, and welcome.
Good morning, Radio Free Kuhner.
How are you, Russ?
Very good. You know, Jeff, here in Massachusetts, we are surrounded by bills from Sudbury, unfortunately, you know. Now, let me say a few things. Have no blind trust in any institution, especially government, that has police power over you. This country needs a deep state enema. Enough with this crap. And let's face it, Barack Obama and Joe Biden are the Trojan horse to destroy our way of life. There's no question about that. When Obama visited the White House, you could see Biden was ignored and in a daze. To believe in the Russian collusion, you have to be a political fool, without question. Now, Jeff, since 1968, I have recognized the media as the enemy within. Walter Cronkite's false reporting of the Tet Offensive. The first quarter of 1969, I was close to the Cambodian border. At night, the enemy would lob in a few mortar rounds. They would go back across the border, and we couldn't do a thing about it. It was either February or March of 1969, Nixon started bombing in Cambodia to save American lives, and again, to save American lives. The media reported Nixon is escalating the war. The gullible, it caused major protests across the United States against Nixon escalating the war. It was false. It was a misleading story. And what do we have today, Jeff? We have the red diaper doper babies picking up the torch for their parents.
Oh, Russ, I think you really summed it up very well. The lies in the Vietnam and the lies today. And Russ, I got to ask you, one of the things I'm disappointed about in the Durham report, he doesn't, recommend indictments. He just sort of leaves the report as is. Do you think people need to go to jail? And who would you start with? In other words, who do we start indicting to start changing what's happening in our country before really we don't have a democracy or a country left?
Oh, God, Jeff, first of all, we didn't have enough time in this show for me to mention all the names that shouldn't be indicted. There's a laundry list of them, okay? And let's start off with the President of the United States at this time. You are talking about someone that's a multi-millionaire who's done nothing but steal from the American people for 50 years. He's corrupt. He's given away our secrets and everything else. If there's anybody that should go to jail, it's him. He, to me, is one of the biggest culprits that there is. I'll tell you, they really scraped the bottom of the barrel when they gave him the nomination.
Amen. Amen. Russ, as always, thank you for your service. Thank you for your call. Paul in Somerville. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Paul from Somerville here. First time calling.
Welcome, Paul. Welcome.
Thank you. The reason I'm calling is because I got inspired earlier by one of your calls. I think her name was Barbara, that she used to be a Democrat and became a Republican.
Yes, she's one of our best callers. She's phenomenal.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you this. I'm 47 years old, and I was born and raised in Somerville, Mass., and I used to be a Democrat up until probably 24 years old. And then I changed over to become a Republican, conservative, right around the time of 9/11. And so what I want to share is this. When I actually, before that, I actually had a transformation in my life a few years ago where I really stopped the hate that I had inside me. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I was a Democrat, a liberal, you guys do not believe how much hate there is in the liberal world. Meaning, for example, Trump is running now, and in the liberal world, if anyone from the Democrat Party who's going to be running against Trump, it could be Adolf Hitler, it could be Bin Laden, anybody who it is, they will vote for that person in over a conservative, whether it's Trump or anyone else. That's how much hate they have. I know from firsthand knowledge because I used to be one of them. So what I want all your listeners to know is that we are on the right side of history. We are not hateful people. Conservative people are not hateful people. What we want is the best for our people, for all of humankind, and for the best of our country. And the liberal, the left wing, the extremists out there, the hate that they have towards conservative people does not have any measure whatsoever. These people are out of control.
Paul, so essentially you're a recovering Democrat.
I actually don't look at it's been so many years already. Because it's been so many years, it's not even. I don't even look at it as a recovery. I think I've recovered a long time ago because I've been a conservative for probably, I would say, somewhere around 17 to 18 years already. But I still have flashbacks of that time, so I know how much I used to hate at that time.
Paul, we've got about a minute left. I want to ask you, and by the way, first-time caller, you're doing a great job, Paul. Do you think this bombshell report, in terms of all the evidence that it shows, the irrefutable evidence, is this going to help Trump in 2024? In other words, he can turn around and say, they lied about Russia, they're lying about everything.
It's certainly going to reinforce his base, and it probably will get a good percentage of the independent vote. And it might be enough for him to come back to the White House. It might. This might give that extra push for the finish line.
I agree. Well, I think it helps Trump. I think, no question, it helps Trump. Paul, please don't be a stranger. Call again, my friend. The callers, you were magnificent today. Phenomenal. I gotta go. Bye-bye.